everyone, my name is Ignacio Garza and I will be the support in this webinar. We're going to talk about entrepreneurship and sustainable development goals. Our panelist today is Teresa Gonzalez. She has an NGO in Mexico. The name of the NGO is Little Flight Mexico, and she's the co-founder of this NGO and is one of the 17 UN Young Leaders for the Sustainable Development Goals. And today we will discover with her how Little of Life Mexico is providing a sustainable life source for marginalized communities and at the same time supporting the development goals at a global level. We can see your screen now, Tere.
Thank you, Nacho. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Just 1 second. All right. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Welcome to the webinar. We're going to talk about the Sustainable Development Goals, and I want to also talk a little bit about Leader of Light Mexico, the organization I co-founded with an amazing team in Mexico. And also I want to discuss why I like to see these Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, as we are going to call them, or global goals throughout the webinar, as the goals of the entrepreneurs. I'm Tere Gonzalez. I'm a UN Young Leader for the Sustainable Development Goals, one of the 17 that are worldwide advocating for the goals through different projects and initiatives. And I am also a program officer at the Young Americas Business Trust, which is the organization that is hosting this webinar. First, I wanted to start with a very basic definition on what is sustainable development, because sometimes these terms can seem perhaps very technical or very far from our realities, but actually they're very, very close to us. And the definition and this global plan of the SDGs is easier than what we are actually expecting. So I wanted to start by making it easy for all of us. Sustainable development means meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. That means doing things in the accurate and sustainable and easiest way, most innovative way we can today, in order to make it easier for the next generations, and not leaving problems, but leaving options, leaving alternatives for future generations. Is a long-term vision. The Sustainable Development Goals have 3 different dimensions that we need to harmonize, 3 core elements that we need to make them work together. These are pieces of the puzzle, and if one of these ones are just out of the picture, we are not actually able to achieve sustainable development. The Sustainable Development Goals are our world's plan to end poverty, to fight inequalities, and to tackle climate change. The 3 elements that we need to harmonize are economic growth, social inclusion, and environmental protection. These elements are interconnected, and all of them are crucial for the well-being of individuals and societies, and also speaking about our planet. Probably many of you are already aware of the UN Sustainable Development Summit that was held at the UN headquarters in New York on September last year. But I wanted to touch base on this because this was the remarkable and definitive moment when 150 world leaders attended the summit and formally adopted the new ambitious Sustainable Development Agenda. It's important to remember that the Sustainable Development Agenda, the global goals, the SDGs, the 2030 Agenda, all of these names are synonyms. So please don't get confused. All of these mean the same. Particularly, I like to call them the SDGs, which is easier, or the global goals. So just to get familiar with the terms. This is our shared vision of humanity and a social contract between the world's leaders and the people that are actually going to start working in them. The SDGs are universal. They are for all people everywhere, rich and poor alike. They are ambitious. It's a very, very ambitious plan. Is our agenda for the next 15 years. Well, 14 because we are already 1 year on. This is an ambitious plan, but attainable. The cost of inaction is actually greater than the cost of action. So this is the moment to start implementing them, to start working towards them. These goals started actually working on January 1st this year. So we are already in the plan. We have 14 years left to achieve all of these. We're going to talk about each one of them throughout the webinar. But also another characteristic of this agenda is that all the goals are interconnected. They're connected. They cut across social, economic, and environmental needs, and we cannot leave any outside of the picture. We need to count on every one of them. Here you can see the layout. These icons, these logos, these goals are our plan. We have 17 of them with 169 targets that are underneath each one of these, but I just want to name them to get familiar with them. Goal 1, no poverty. 2, zero hunger. 3, good health and well-being. 4, quality education. 5, gender equality. 6, clean water and sanitation. 7, affordable and clean energy. 8, decent work and economic growth. 9, industry, innovation and infrastructure. 10, reduce inequalities. 11, sustainable cities and communities. 12, responsible consumption and production. 13, climate action. 14, life below water. 15, life on land. 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. And 17, partnerships for the goals, partnerships to achieve all of these goals. As I was mentioning before, the goals are like a puzzle. Everything is connected and we cannot leave any of the pieces behind. We need to consider people, end poverty and hunger in all forms, and ensure equality, dignity. We need to consider prosperity and to ensure prosperous and fulfilling lives in harmony with nature, because we have the planet as another piece of this puzzle. We need to protect our natural resources and fight climate change, and also protect the planet for future generations. We are also talking about peace, foster peaceful, just, and inclusive societies, and partnerships. I'm very glad that partnerships is actually one of the goals, number 17, because sometimes we tend to assume that yes, we'll need partnerships to achieve this agenda, but actually it is considered as one of the goals because it is key. If we don't manage to get private sector, public sector, academia, civil society, NGOs, everyone has a role in this. And if we don't have all the pieces connected and collaborating, we are not going to achieve this agenda for sure. I want to briefly touch on some numbers for each one of the goals, some figures and realities that we are facing, some challenges, some remarkable achievements, so we are all in the same page. Also, I mentioned at the beginning that for me the Sustainable Development Goals are the goals of the entrepreneurs. And before starting talking about each one of these goals, I wanted to share why. I think the Sustainable Development Goals are an amazing arena for entrepreneurship. We have the capability to innovate in the most simple and most complex ways, no matter what we want to do, on each one of these goals. And also by touching one of these goals, we are touching others. Also, why youth entrepreneurship? Why youth as partners for the implementation of the SDGs? Well, it is simple. Today's generation of adolescents and young people, I mean between 10 and 24 years old, is close to 1.8 billion, more than any other time in human history. This is a bonus that we need to leverage in order to achieve this agenda, because youth are the leaders of today, not the leaders of tomorrow. Youth are taking action now, and now more than any other time it's easier to find a 10-year-old building his own clock, for example, or a little girl working to recycle food waste in her community. It's easier than ever to see innovation in young people. We also have more young people than ever. Also, among the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, there are 65 out of the 169 SDGs targets that reference young people, either explicitly or implicitly, but they have a focus on empowerment, youth participation, and also youth well-being. There are actually 20 youth-specific targets that touch different goals. And also, we need to consider that young people's involvement is key if the call for participation, inclusion, accountability, and global engagement is to be achieved. So I just wanted to share these very quick numbers on how youth participation is actually key to achieve this agenda. And we also need to remember to work between generations, across generations. With that said, now we can speak about each one of the goals. Goal number 1, no poverty. Extreme poverty rates have been cut by more than half since 1990. That's a reality. And while this is a very remarkable achievement, 1 in 5 people in developing regions still live on less than $1.25 a day. This is unbelievable. And there are millions more who make little more than this daily amount, plus many people that are actually in the risk of slipping back into poverty. Poverty is also more than the lack of income. There are many dimensions of poverty. It's more than the lack of income and resources to ensure a sustainable livelihood. Its manifestations include hunger and malnutrition, limited access to education, for example, or any other basic services, social discrimination, exclusion, the lack of participation in decision making, for example. Economic growth must be inclusive to provide sustainable jobs and promote equality. Goal number 2, zero hunger. And basically, this is telling us to end hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition, and also to promote sustainable agriculture. We're going to talk later in this webinar about the Eco Challenge, a category of the Talent and Innovation Competition of the Americas that is actually fostering entrepreneurs and encouraging them to participate in a competition that is touching on the topic of sustainable agriculture. But we're going to speak about that later on this presentation. But if done right, agriculture, forestry, and fisheries can provide nutritious food for all, no matter where, no matter when, and generate decent incomes while supporting people-centered rural development and protecting the environment. We need a profound change of the global food and agriculture system if we are to nourish today's 795 million hungry and the additional 2 billion people that are expected to be hungry by 2050. So we need to pay attention on this. Without food, without water, we cannot even think about the other goals. We need to cover our basics. The food and agriculture sector offers key solutions for development and is central for hunger and poverty eradication. Goal 3, good health and well-being, ensuring healthy lives and promoting well-being for all at all ages. This is key, at all ages. It is essential for sustainable development. As I was saying before, we need the basics covered. Significant strides have been made in increasing life expectancy and reducing some of the common killers associated with child and maternal mortality. We've made great progress in there. Major progress has been made on increasing access to clean water and sanitation, and also in reducing key diseases like, for example, malaria, tuberculosis, polio, and also the spread of HIV. However, many efforts are needed to fully eradicate a wide range of diseases and address many different persistent and emerging health issues. I think great innovation can be done in this area. For example, we just saw this year amongst the winners of the Talent and Innovation Competition that we held at YABT in the Dominican Republic, we saw Rainier Majol, who is also one of the UN Young Leaders. He has this project to detect any outbreaks with enough time in advance of diseases affecting the area. For example, dengue, Ebola, and other diseases. They can apply this also to other countries that have faced, for example, malaria. This is an amazing innovation developed by young people that I recommend you to check out. The name of the organization is AIME. AIME. Goal number 4, also a very basic one, quality education. Obtaining a quality education is, we all know, the foundation to improving people's lives and sustainable development. We've also had major progress towards increasing access to education at all levels and increasing enrollment rates in schools, particularly for women and girls, and we are going to talk about this in the next goal, which is gender equality. But we still have work to do, but it's worth recognizing the major progress that we have achieved as a global coalition for quality education. Basic literacy skills have improved tremendously, yet bolder efforts are needed to make even greater strides for achieving universal education goals. For example, the world has achieved equality in primary education between girls and boys, but few countries have achieved that target at all levels of education. Here's the challenge. In particular, in Latin America and the Caribbean, the region that we work the most with, we still have great challenges even in primary education. We still see more boys than girls, or sometimes with the dropout rates, girls are on the top of the list, unfortunately. Speaking about this, goal number 5, gender equality. And while the world has achieved progress towards gender equality and women's empowerment under the Millennium Development Goals, these are the predecessors of the SDGs, women and girls still continue to suffer discrimination and violence in every part of the world. We are witnesses of this. Some of us could be victims of this. This is no strange to any of us. Gender equality is not only a fundamental human right, but a necessary foundation for a peaceful, prosperous, and sustainable world, providing women and girls with equal access to education, healthcare, decent work, and here's where many goals connect, as well as representation in political and economic decision-making process, will fuel sustainable economies and benefit societies and humanity at large. There are amazing studies that you can read online about the difference of how women and girls invest the money they earn at work, in their families, or in their communities. So I think this would be a very interesting topic that we could actually speak more, perhaps a full webinar about it, or a few webinars. But I recommend you to look at the numbers and look actually to campaigns like, for example, He for She, because gender equality cannot be achieved only by women or girls. It needs to bring on board boys and men. And also, since we are touching this topic, I think that's something very important to bring to the forefront, is that there are many gender expressions in our societies and around the world. We are not only men and women, we are also many other we have also many other gender expressions. So let's keep this in mind, to keep an inclusive world and to actually have gender equality not only among two genders. The next goal that we are going to talk about is clean water and sanitation. Clean, accessible water for all is an essential part of the world we want to live in. Without water, we are simply lost. We cannot be in this world. We cannot live without water. And again, connection with other goals. Did you know that actually there is sufficient fresh water on the planet to achieve this? This is a reality. We have enough. We are just not distributing it well due to bad economics or even poor infrastructure. Every year, millions of people, most of them children, die from diseases associated with inadequate water supply, sanitation, and hygiene. Water scarcity, poor water quality, and inadequate sanitation negatively impact on food security, livelihood choices, and educational opportunities for poor families across the world. By 2050, at least 1 in 4 people is likely to live in a country affected by chronic or recurring shortages of fresh water. Goal number 7, affordable and clean energy. One of my favorites, but I shouldn't say that. Energy is central to nearly every major challenge and opportunity the world faces today, be it for jobs, security, climate change, food production, or increasing incomes. Access to energy for all is essential. Sustainable energy is opportunity because it actually transforms lives, economies, and the planet. And I'm going to tell you more about Leader of Light Mexico and the Leader of Light Global Movement, how it contributes to affordable and clean energy in a very clear, simple, replicable way. Sorry, just one second. There we go. Goal number 8, one of the main goals for YABT, the Young America's Business Trust, is to achieve decent work and economic growth. Here we can talk about entrepreneurship, we can talk about self-employment, we can talk about youth a lot, actually. Roughly half of the world's population still lives on the equivalent of about $2 a day. And in too many places, having a job doesn't guarantee the ability to escape from poverty. So that's why the word decent is key on this goal. It's not just about having a job, but having a decent one, a proper one, a sustainable one that guarantees our future. This slow and uneven progress requires us to rethink and retool our economic and social policies aimed at eradicating poverty. A continued lack of decent work opportunities, insufficient investments, and underconsumption lead to an erosion of the basic social contract underlying democratic societies that almost share in progress. The creation of quality jobs will remain a major challenge for almost all economies well beyond 2015. Sustainable economic growth will require societies to create the conditions that allow people to have quality jobs that stimulate the economy while not harming the environment. This is one of the key puzzle connections that we have in the global goals. How to stimulate the economy to improve our lives without harming our planet. Job opportunities and decent working conditions are also required for the whole working age population. This is something that we need to remember. It's not just about the new generation having a decent work or the current generation, the current adults to have a better job, but actually to ensure decent work for all now and for the future. Industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Investments in infrastructure, transportation, irrigation, energy, information and communications technologies actually are crucial to achieving sustainable development and empowering communities in many countries. It has long been recognized that growth in productivity and incomes and improvements in health and education outcomes require investment in infrastructure. Without investment on this, we cannot guarantee sustainability. We need resilient infrastructure that can actually survive any difficulties, meaning politics, meaning economic crisis, meaning war, meaning social crisis as well. We need to invest and also to keep innovating in industry and infrastructure. Inclusive and sustainable industrial development is the primary source of income generation, allows for rapid and sustained increases in living standards for all people, and provides a technological solution to environmentally sound industrialization. Another transversal goal, reduce inequalities. The international community has made significant strides towards lifting people out of poverty. We know we've had progress, but we still have challenges, and the most vulnerable nations, meaning the least developed countries, continue to make inroads into poverty reduction. However, inequality still persists, and large disparities remain in access to health and education services and other assets. While income inequality between countries may have been reduced, inequality within countries has risen. Within countries has risen. We need to tackle this. We need to work not only in the local level, but in the global level, in the regional level. Particularly in Latin America, we need to strengthen our links between countries, our cooperation, our support, our collaboration, our feedback, and also solving our challenges. But this is key for any other part of the world. I love this image because it's very, very graphic, very clear. To reduce inequalities and actually end them one day, everyone needs to have a piece of the cake. And I just love these images. Actually, these images are available for everyone. Getty Images is a visual content partner for the SDGs, and you can have access to all of these. They are very powerful images that help us to convey the global goals message. Goal 11, we were just talking about that a few weeks ago at Habitat, this conference that happened in Ecuador, Habitat 3. Probably you saw something if you like these topics on social media, which is about making cities inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable, because cities are hubs for ideas, commerce, culture, science, productivity, social development, and many other things. At their best, cities have enabled people to advance socially and economically, but excuse me. However, many challenges exist to maintaining cities in a way that continues to create jobs and prosperity while not straining land and resources. Again, interconnection between the goals. Common urban challenges include congestion, lack of funds to provide basic services, shortage of adequate housing, and declining infrastructure. We were talking before about investing in infrastructure and building sustainable infrastructure. The challenges that cities are facing can be overcome in ways that allow them to continue to thrive and grow while improving resource use and reducing pollution and poverty as well. The future we want includes cities with opportunities for all, with access to basic services, energy, housing, transportation, and social equality. Responsible consumption and production is goal number 12. And it's about promoting resource and energy efficiency, sustainable infrastructure, and providing access to basic services, green and decent jobs, and a better life quality for all. This means and aims to doing more and better with less, being more efficient, increasing welfare, reducing resource use, degradation, and pollution, but it also requires a systemic approach and cooperation among actors operating in the supply chains from producer to the final consumer. When we speak about leader of light, we speak also about this goal, and you are going to see clearly in the pictures and the information that I'm going to share with you later on. It's a very clear example of how the supply chain is cooperating from the beginning to the end. Climate action, a key one for us all. Climate change is now affecting every country on every continent. We know that. We know, for example, in Latin America and the Caribbean, we've been clearly affected by this phenomenon called El Niño. It is disrupting national economies, affecting lives, costing people, communities, and countries dearly today, and even more tomorrow. So it is time to prevent, but also to reverse the effects that we are having right now. Probably you've heard of the Paris Agreement, the climate summit that happened in December last year, where the Paris Agreement was adopted. And this means a commitment from the world leaders to avoid the world's temperature going up 2 more centigrade degrees, which could have fatal consequences on our oceans, for example, on our sea levels, on our bodies, on our food production, and many other things. So if you're interested in this topic, I recommend you to look at resources offered by different networks, like, for example, Earth to Paris from the UN Foundation, or to actually look at the agreement. There are many resources that are making it simple for us to understand our role on climate action and how different sectors are contributing to keep our planet healthy. Life below water. This one has also to do with climate action, but it is very common to see the oil spillings in the ocean, and the world's oceans, their temperature, chemistry, currents, and life drive global systems that make the Earth habitable for humankind. We cannot forget about what's below the water. Our rainwater, our drinking water, the weather, the climate, the coastlines, much of our food, and even the oxygen in the air we breathe are all ultimately provided and regulated by the sea. Throughout history, oceans and seas have been vital conduits for trade and transportation. So again, we can see connections that we usually don't think about. The oceans as a way to actually have trade, fair trade. This has to do with sustainable communities, with consumption. So everything is connected. Careful management of this essential global resource is a key feature of a sustainable future. Again, on this line, goal 15 is about life on land. Just to mention one number, forests cover 30% of the Earth's surface, and in addition to providing food, security, and shelter, forests are key to combating climate change, protecting biodiversity, and the homes of many indigenous populations. 13 million hectares of forests are being lost every year, while the persistent degradation of drylands has led to the desertification of 3.6 billion hectares. This is something that we need to keep in mind. Desertification, deforestation, we need to work on it, and also keep this towards our climate action. We need the trees just simply to breathe, to clean our earth. Deforestation and desertification caused by human activities and climate change pose major challenges to sustainable development and have affected the lives and livelihoods of millions of people in the fight against poverty. Efforts are being made to manage forests and combat desertification, but we have a lot of work to do. We cannot stop. Goal number 16 is dedicated to the promotion of peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, the provision of access to justice for all, and also to building effective, accountable institutions at all levels. We are facing challenges in many countries. We have the example of the Middle East, we have the example of Colombia, recently in a region, and for example, Mexico with all the drug cartel situation, We need stronger institutions to contribute in the national level, regional level, and also the global level. Finally, goal number 17 is aiming to revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. We need all hands on deck, all hearts and minds working towards achieving this agenda in the next 14 years that we have left. 2030 needs to arrive with our ideal world. We all need to work for that. A successful sustainable development agenda requires partnerships between governments, the private sector, the civil society. These inclusive partnerships built upon principles and values, a shared vision, and shared goals that place people and the planet at the center. They are needed at the global, regional, national, and local level. Urgent action is needed to mobilize, redirect, and unlock the transformative power of trillions of dollars of private resources to deliver on sustainable development objectives. We need to bring everyone to the circle, to the table, and not just to the table to talk. We need to get out of that table and those meeting rooms and actually take action in every single level that we can. There are too many resources, there are too many ways to contribute. Each one of us has a role. That's why the UN appointed 17 UN young leaders. They didn't ask us to leave our jobs. They asked us to keep doing our job, but promoting the SDGs through that, through our current initiatives. That's why I want to share with you right now a video of what we do in Leader of Light Mexico, so you can see a clear example of how entrepreneurship, youth entrepreneurship, is contributing to the SDGs and connecting the dots amongst many of them. I hope you enjoy it.
Hacía mi comida allá afuera porque me quedaba bien, porque saca esa basura.
En los límites de Tlalpan y la Magdalena Contreras, ahí donde la vista de la Ciudad de México es como una postal digna de concurso, se encuentra la colonia Tierra Colorada, una comunidad que encuentra entre muchos otros problemas la falta de instalaciones dignas de electricidad en sus hogares, no tan meritorio de presumir. Convencidos de aportar un granito de arena para mejorar la situación de la zona, la Fundación Litro de Luz México puso en marcha un proyecto que brindará una alternativa natural de luz. Esta proviene de los rayos del sol que se refleja sobre las botellas al interior de la casa, ofreciendo una luz equivalente a un foco de 55 watts.
Podemos enfrentar varias realidades con litro de luz. Una es si la familia tiene acceso a la electricidad y paga por ella, litro de luz representa un ahorro. En el caso de conexiones hechizas, conexiones ilegales, podemos hablar que hay una disminución de riesgos, una prevención de accidentes. Para casos donde no hay ni una ni otra, podemos hablar de que hay una fuente de luz que ayuda a la casa a tener una mayor habitabilidad y también una mejor calidad de vida, obviamente.
Apoyados tan solo de fondos que vienen de benefactores, donantes individuales, empresas y patrocinios en especie, la Fundación utiliza materiales básicos para la construcción de esta lámpara natural.
La botella en sí no necesita un mantenimiento. La botella se instala y está hecha para que pueda durar aproximadamente 5 años, dependiendo las condiciones climáticas del lugar.
Ya cambia. No, está bonito. Tiene la claridad.
intención de realizar una segunda fase para otras 100 familias en Tierra Colorada, la Fundación Litro de Luz México espera llevar su proyecto también a Ecatepec para continuar su labor social en pro de una calidad digna de vida para las comunidades necesitadas.
La botella ciertamente cambia la vida de una familia radicalmente, pero no queremos que estas familias tengan litro de luz por siempre, sino que tengan una casa digna y un espacio el mejor para vivir.
All right, so well, this is Leader of Light Mexico. As you've seen, well, this is the team, Ben, Mao, Omar, and me. We also have other team members in Mexico that support us, like Mariela Ortiz. I wanted to touch base on how we connect different goals. One is affordable and clean energy. That one is very clear. But also we are supporting to reduce inequalities, which is goal number 10. Through different campaigns, we are able to touch other goals. For example, goal 16 about peace, justice, and strong institutions. We developed this campaign in different communities, lighting up a public space and honoring a city, a country, a region in conflict. For example, in this case, in the picture, you can see we dedicated it to Syria. But we did it also for Colombia, for Mexico, for Israel and Palestine, and many other regions. So we also are trying to connect with other goals and other objectives. For example, Leader of Light, by providing a light source at home, also fosters education, because kids can now make their homework, for example, at home, and not doing homework just in the street or in the nearest gas station, because it's a place where there is light at night to make their homeworks. We partner with different volunteers. With the private sector, we have support from PepsiCo, who also supports the Eco Challenge and the Talent and Innovation Competition of the Americas. So there you can see an example of a private sector company committed to the SDGs, committed to the global goals. And we have allies like these little ones that you can see on the screen. They are from Guatemala. They are sometimes the first ones to be amazed by this solution, to learn how to do it, and to share it also and spread the voice, spread the word in their communities. This is the type of houses where we work. Leader of Light is a global movement. It's in more than 35 countries. It started in the Philippines with Ilac Diaz, but through his foundation, he made this an open source global movement. So we are honored to lead the chapter in Mexico. I was also very, very grateful with the experience of helping incubate the chapters in India and also in Spain. Now Leader of Light Mexico has expanded and incubated the model with local leaders in Guatemala, in Honduras, and now coming next, the Dominican Republic. The need is the same in every country, but the way we do it, the way we apply it, the way we replicate the project is different, because we all do it with local materials, with the local bottles that are wasted every day in every community, and also the solar cells that we are using now for the night solution and the public lighting solution are built locally. This is a night solution that I'm talking about. Is an electric circuit, a battery, and a solar cell that lights up either a house, or in this case, lights up a public space. with this, we also contribute to having having safer communities. For example, if some teenagers go to the night shift at school, they can actually walk in a safer way in the communities. And in partnership with Fundación Coelet in Mexico, Leader of Light Mexico is having an impact in the long term, not only by providing light, but also by developing productive skills, social skills, and changing risk dynamics, risk conduct in the different communities. Here you can see other examples. If you want to know more about the project or follow us in our social media, here's the Facebook account, Litro de Luz Mexico or Leader of Light Mexico, Twitter, Leader MX, and Instagram, Litro de Luz Mexico. Please feel free to reach out. We are here for you. Another way to contribute and actually have more visibility on the work that you are doing for the global goals is through YBT, the Young Americas Business Trust, where I work. And you can participate in the Talent and Innovation Competition of the Americas. Registration is open right now, and you can participate in any of the categories. And also, we have a special category, the Environmental Innovation Awards. We call them the Eco Challenge, which is sponsored by PepsiCo, CBC, and Postobon. And here you can participate in 3 different challenges. If your endeavor is tackling recollection, for example, recycling of plastic bottles, or if you are working in access to water, you can participate. Also, there's a special challenge for sustainable agriculture that you can also participate in. So registration is open. There's a very exciting award and prize at the end if you win, but also what counts the most to me, what is more important to me, is the process, because it's not only a competition, but actually a business accelerator. We can give you feedback on your endeavors, so actually towards the finals, you can improve your project. This is not about the prize, this is about contributing to entrepreneurship, decent work, economic growth, social inclusion in the Americas. So have a look. Registration is open until January. You can find more information at ticamericas.net and in the social media channels, YBT on Facebook, YBTS on Twitter, and YBTDC on Instagram. Also, if none of these options look attractive to you, I have the solution for you. The UN, the United Nations, released the Lazy Person's Guide to Saving the World. So you can have a look at it. There are 3 different levels. One is how to contribute to the SDGs from your couch. The other one is how to contribute to the global goals from your home. And the other one is from outside your house. If you want to go outside and do something simple, easy, that doesn't take too much effort, you can find it on this guide with tips, with advice on what to do, even from the comfort of your couch. So have a look. The UN thought about everything. If you want to get into more detail, more technicalities about the 2030 Agenda, the Sustainable Development Goals, you can have a look to this publication, Transforming Our World, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. It's available in all languages, and you can download it and actually get to see the 169 targets and every single detail about what the governments adopted. Also, there are many resources, as I was telling you. So I recommend you to have a look to this website, un.org/sustainable development. But there are also social media channels on every single platform you can imagine. I'm naming here Facebook, Twitter, and an app, but you can also find Snapchat, you can find Instagram, and other social media platforms. But I recommend you to have a look to the United Nations Facebook, also to the Global Goals UN Facebook, on Twitter at UN and at Global Goals UN. And if you have a smartphone, download the SDGs in Action app. It's actually very interesting because they flag for you articles, news on the goals that you are more interested in, but also you can publish the actions that you are taking towards achieving the goals, or join actions that someone else in the world is doing. So I definitely recommend you to check it out. This would be all from my side. I think we are short on time, but I'll let the organizers to tell me if we have time to answer questions. If not, my email is Teresa, TERESA.Gonzalez, GONZALEZ @YBT.net. Please feel free to reach out. If you couldn't write down my email, please contact us through the YBT.net website or TIC America's website, and we'll be more than happy to guide you and to help you navigate through either the competition or any resources that you need about the global goals. Thank you very much for joining this webinar. I'm thrilled to share with you what I'm passionate about, and I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you.